Hey everybody, this is Kohdok here, and wow, Bakugan's getting a reboot. I mean, who saw that one coming? So, a lot of you might not know that my channel actually got its start like years ago with the original Bakugan Battle Brawlers with a review of a certain device called Vylantor. It's why it has the name on here. However, in that video, I constantly mispronounced the name, and I realized that as I was editing. So what I did was I recorded myself yelling the proper pronunciation and had that scream play every time I mispronounced the name. That kind of turned into a meme for a while, where I would take clips from cartoon shows and movies and stuff, and add the scream in somewhere, add Vylantor in there. Like I made Vylantor take the place of like Batman and stuff like that. But that was a while ago. And then about 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, we're on year 5 of it. They did the remake, which is Bakugan Battle Planet, and that remake I covered for a while, but I honestly kind of fell off on it because the TV show that was attached to them, it just didn't really appeal to me that much. That and the stuff I did with like the card games really started to pick up. But they have recently announced that after the final year, so we had like the Battle Planet, we had Armored Alliance, Geogan Rising, Evolutions, and Legends. So I have one from every iteration here, either a diamond or an elemental. But it was tied to a card game that I was holding upside down just now. It was tied to a card game um, that I also covered for a while, and I have used as examples. And according to my understanding, is they are going to be winding down this Battle Planet continuity to replace with a new one. And you know what? That's fine. Kids shows do that all the time. Kids shows, changing over to a new cast, a new universe, doing it every once in a while. It just makes sense to do with kids shows, like Beyblade has its refresh every couple of years. Power Rangers refreshes every year. I mean, Pretty Cure in Japan does it the same way. Honestly, rebooting the continuity fairly regularly for kids shows, like I said, it makes perfect sense because it means that you can have younger fans join in on the party without having to know a ton of lore in advance. It's the same with like superhero shows and stuff like that. Why like so many shows will just kind of end after a couple of years and maybe get replaced with a new iteration is it's for the younger audience to work. That said, some of the pictures I have seen of the new Bakugan stuff is a little concerning, especially since a lot of them appear to be half Beyblade. I mean, I look at the Bakugan and they're Beyblades. I look at the boxes and they're just like the Beyblade boxes. I honestly wonder if everybody at Spin Master is okay. Because I know Beyblade has managed to remain popular. Beyblade's kind of a perennial series. Bakugan has kind of been limping through its past couple of years, especially with all the stores getting overcrowded by all these darn Cubbo toys. These things continue to be a blight on all of my local retail locations, and there were a lot of struggles with Battle Planet. But let's talk about the new stuff first. If they're trying to make Bakugan basically be like Beyblade, they are in for a world of hurt, because something I have found is that when a company tries to make something that's similar to something that already exists, unless it has like some kind of killer app function, like it's ridiculously cheaper. Like there's this dollar store GI Joe brand called Final Faction, which it's a really cheap knockoff, but the fact that you could get like a full like vehicle for like $2 is quite the selling point. On the other hand, we have things like Nexamon Extinction, which I play it, and I really wish I was rather playing Pokemon, because at least Pokemon isn't poisoned by cynicism and terrible meta humor. Oh yeah, we sure are playing a video game, alright. But anyway, it looks like that the tops are the bringing back the special attack, which special attack was a term from the original Bakugan, which were Bakugan with additional features. The Bakugan Ultra that started in Bakugan Battle Planet were sort of the equivalent of special attacks. They were Bakugan with like special features that cost a little more, but the special attacks, they had things like when it would open up, the top would like spin around on the top half of the Bakugan would spin around, or it would light up and make noises. I know. Speaking of lighting up, we have in this current setup the Bakugan Nova, which also have the light up effect. I think when they open. But the regular Bakugan, it appears, are ones that consist of two halves. So they actually made like a Bakugan, like the third series of Bakutech actually had the similar feature where the Bakugan came apart into two halves and you could recombine them into other ones. And I guess that's the gimmick. But of note is that they have actually changed the cards. So yes, the this card game is being completely replaced by this new card game. And what happens is the cards come in two pieces, and you have to like segment them together to get them to work. I'm not sure how well that's going to do for them. Either they're going to have to stuff like a card behind the sleeve to get the card to retain its shape, or it's gonna be kind of a weird thing. It looks like rather than focusing on attributes, it focuses on like three different stats that get adjusted by combining the top and bottom pieces. And the new versions of the gate cards, rather than having like the sort of background we have on these, they actually have like separate zones that I guess determine which of these three stats to use. But yeah, they have completely thrown away the old card game with its interesting strategy. The card game I remember saying was okay. It was a pretty good game with an incredibly severe flaw. That being that it was a life decking game. A life decking game that enforced the use of a flip card system. Basically, you had these horizontal cards that you're supposed to save energy to pay for when your opponent attacks. So you save the energy to try to pay for it to try to reduce the damage you're taking. And these things would do like hideous damage. Like here is like one of the evolution cards in the deck. It does a base damage of 6, but because of the cores and the other items we get, it could easily go up to like 10, 12. A joke I had is when I would play the game, when somebody asked how much damage would I deal, my answer was all of it, and they just start flipping because they know I wasn't lying. It was a really severe flaw in what I thought was otherwise a pretty brilliant game. The game is you get 3 Bakugan. Get to build a team of 3 Bakugan, and these Bakugan can come in one of 6 attributes. And what happens is you're allowed to use cards that match the attributes of your Bakugan. And they actually had like multi-type cards as well, but to use those, you needed both of those Bakugan. So I would need both Chaos and Pyrus to use Pyro-Obliterator. And Pyro-Obliterator is plus 700 for just 2, so it was absolutely worth it. It was like building your own commander in Magic the Gathering. That was really cool. The energy system I could honestly take or leave because it was one of those any card is energy games where you always went -1 hand every turn. It had a neat little dexterity game. A lot of people gave the dexterity games short shrift. I think they're nice. They're like entire games that are all about that kind of dexterity. Games like Bullet Ball and stuff like that. I can't remember the name of it, but there's like kind of a game that's kind of like shuffleboard, but it's played on a circular table. A lot of people are big on that. I don't think integrating a dexterity mechanic into a card game is necessarily asking for trouble. What is asking for trouble, though, is how Spin Master sold the game. I am on record referring to the Bakugan Battle Planet card game as the Google Stadia of card games. Google Stadia was supposed to be this big console that was going to change everything, and it was going to be put up by Google, and Google had the mentality of, oh, we are Google, we are big and important, the rest of the genre shall gravitate to us. So basically, they made their console and put out all their stuff without trying to make nice with any of the people who, actually worked on and made that technology. And that got them in a lot of trouble. They basically had, like, nobody interested in working with them second party. They had, like, some really exorbitant fees. They didn't really understand how, like, people use streaming or gaming subscriptions and stuff like that. They were absolutely buried by the subscription services provided by, basically every console manufacturer on the market. All of them had like a subscription that came with like a big pile of free games while Stadia was still charging full interest. But that's a different story. The way I see what happened with the Bakugan game is Spin Master was like, oh, we are Spin Master. We are big and important. The genre will gravitate to us. So they put out a card game and had not made nice with any of the people who, work on card games. They had not talked to any trading card game distributors. They had not made a really big outreach program for like game stores and stuff like that. Um, they had not prepared any like launch events or anything like that, which these days you especially need. Apparently, what little convention action actually happened, the developers of the game had to beg for. So it was a mess coming out of the gate. Spin Master was like, "Oh, we'll let it gather attention for a year and then we'll try something." That's not how it works. That might have been how it worked 20 years ago when Pokemon first came out, but that's not how it works these days. You have to do something to really catch attention and get people going out of the gate. Like I talked about in my organized play video, you don't have to have something sophisticated in place when a game launches, but you need to have something. All you need is like a packet of cards that gets flung in with a store's order that they can hand out at their discretion. It doesn't have to be anything that severe. There were a lot of problems with this. They were like, oh, they sell Pokemon stores at like Target, so we'll just sell our cards at Target. The Pokemon cards, those are in the hands of distributors. They they maintain the stock. They maintain the street dates to bring out the new stuff. I mean, maintain the street dates is being kind of generous. They frequently violate the street dates. But that's really not their concern. Little things like trading cards are a really high theft item. So that is why they are basically in one place, managed by a separate distributor right next to the cash registers where there's always extra sets of eyeballs. These were just thrown in the toy aisle, although I don't really think too many of them got stolen because I got a lot of them on clearance as well. Another thing that hurt was their starter sets. Their starter sets were $30 in a world where all of their competition was half that amount or less. Having such a large buy-in was a massive problem to get people into the game. I, from the beginning, said that the starter sets should have cost less. I said they should have been 25, maybe they should have even have been 20, and just consider the deck to be a loss leader. Because these were $30, and they actually had like 5 packs of Bakugan that were also $30. And when you're a kid, you go for the 5-pack. They were directly competing with themselves. Never compete with yourself, you will always lose. But yeah, they really should have taken these starter sets as a loss leader. I really think that would have helped them a lot getting the game off the ground. But a lot of people, especially those who came from outside, pointed out that this not being a loss leader was a huge pain to them. The card game, I was only able to find out in the wild at places like Target and stuff, with the exception of a few of these starter decks. It was, for the most part, just the first 3 sets. The ones introduced in the first year. Maybe the first 4, actually. Yeah, I think it was... No, it was just... Yeah, the first 3... And I had to, like, look around. I had to go to, like, discount change to find the follow-ups. Heck, even the storage cases became difficult to find. Granted, Spin Master was also affected by the apocalypse happening, but the fact that they didn't have, like, a solid support ground in place absolutely hurt their chances here. I was actually only able to find one of these at a discount store called Ollie's recently. They had just one of these left, and I just snatched it when I saw it. But the belt clips, they were kind of advertising these. I remember showing these off in a video I took at Toy Fair, but these never showed up at Target and Walmart. Toys R Us went extinct. I think they were already closed by the time Battle Planet really came back. But a lot of, like, the support materials, like the arenas still came out. You still get the arenas from time to time. But like the carrying cases, I have not seen the carrying cases since year 1, which is a shame, because those I remember always being a popular thing in the original one. If they're bringing back the Bakugan in a remake, I hope they bring back carrying cases. That was probably the thing that I was looking for the most. But it's gonna be weird. I'm actually not sure if this is if these photographs of, like, the special attack ones, I'm not sure if these are supposed to be the year 5 things that are going to be coming out throughout the year to tie in with Bakugan Legends, or if they are part of the reboot that is also expected to come out. Maybe I'll take a look at the reboot. I remember the Bakugan Battle Planet cartoon show not really being my cup of tea. I found it honestly kind of dull and even a bit irritating. I watched about like 20 episodes of it before I quit, and if anybody tries to say that I'm not allowed to make up my mind on a show after watching 20 episodes of it, I'm not sure if I can help you, but I'll take a look at the new one. I always take a look at whatever the new Transformers show is every year, so we're gonna see if we get something interesting from Bakugan. But yeah, that's kind of my my post-mortem on how the card game is now. The card game, Like I said, it was a decent game, horribly mismanaged, and I really hope Spin Masters learn their lesson. Although they've learned the lesson to not even try because they got pushback on it for not doing it correctly. So they're just going to make it a really kind of bland and boring thing. But well, who knows? Maybe the kids will like it. Anyway, until then, next time, this is Kohdok signing off. Hey, yeah, thanks for watching, and this time I get to read off a lot of names for the Patreon. Holy cow, I've just been getting so many new people joining in. It's becoming a really great community over there. So, a big thank you especially to Clicolo, Weird Warp, Skell, Dracus, Christopher P, Cody and Kaya, Danny, Vaughn, and Johnny D2 for buying in at the $10 or up level. You can come and join us anytime. I've actually set up some game rooms there. We're getting ready to do all sorts of wonderful things, and I'm almost at the $500 tier, and I promise to do some cool stuff if that happens. So yeah, that's the end of Bakugan Battle Planet. To my impression, it's going to be rebooted at the end of this year, and I look forward to it. Until next time, this is Kohdok signing off.